There.
I hit it. We're live.
All right. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Toy Galaxy here. We are very honored, very privileged to have Mr. Chuck Wagner here on the show with us tonight. He is, I don't have to tell you, he is the Automan. As well as lots of other things, but that's what's most relevant to us. Having just did a video a few weeks ago, which, by the way, is still burning up the YouTubes.
Yay!
Which, we are very, very happy about. Not something that we had necessarily anticipated ahead of time.
Nope.
Automan was definitely something we wanted to cover, but we were not aware that there was still that much love and need for Automan content out there. So,
well, it's because there's so little. It's like, what, Automan content? I can't believe it. So exactly. So I appreciate the effort, and thanks to everybody. Thank you, Dan. I love your channel. I love everything about it. And I'm a big toy fan myself. So the fact that there's any kind of a following for Automan is a blessing. And I thought it's a concept that was ahead of its time. It was CGI before there was CGI. So like you could do it now on your phone, right?
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was $1 million an episode. So I think we were an idea ahead of our time.
Well, and you know what we found with our videos that tend to perform that well. This is secrets of YouTube behind the scenes. What we found with those kinds of videos is that they have an international appeal. You know, we get a certain amount of views that are, you know, it starts off strong in the U.S. It's sort of during a U.S. time zone, but then overnight when that thing starts to kick up internationally, that's when we really start to see what the appeal of something like that is. So you know, Automan right out of the gate, first night, just big numbers. So
well,
we know that Automan had international appeal, and I know that it had more popularity. And I mean, is that something that you saw that it was?
Popular it was definitely a bigger hit in the UK. In fact, the toys were made by a company in England called Automan Toys, and there was a novelization of the show that was also published in the UK. So they were very excited about it. So when we were canceled after 13 episodes, they were less happy about it.
Yeah.
But we were also on it. We ran a channel in Australia too, so we were a little bit everywhere.
Yeah, we definitely have some folks in the chat from the UK, so checking in. Usually when we start our live streams, people are checking in from where they are around the world. So we've got a couple people already saying they're checking in from the UK, so that's pretty great. Is that now you at the time for a show like Automan? I know you probably had a really short production schedule. What was the total like shoot time on that? Like in terms of months, like a 2 month thing?
Well, we do an episode. It would probably be a week and a half, 2 weeks on an episode. The pilot took probably 4 weeks to shoot. And we shot a lot of things twice. They weren't sure when Desi would step inside of me for us to walk the walls and things. They couldn't decide, well, should I stay in the costume or should then I be wearing larger versions of what he was wearing, right? So we shot everything twice, which my wife really appreciated because I made a lot of money during the pilot.
So did you spend, was it like 2 months, 3 months for the whole season, or was it like, how does that sort of television production run?
I'd say 3-4 months by the time from the time we started. And about 3/4 of the way through, we had several people who had done some of the other Glenn Larson shows, because in fact, there's whole sequences lifted from Fall Guy that they basically, some of the stunts were the same stunts from before. We
don't need to do this again. Yeah,
I know exactly. We'll just kind of put in different close-ups. And but people said that, oh, this is definitely, this has got everything it needs. It's going to be a huge hit. And then and we all thought up to the day that we were canceled that we were going to be picked up the next season. So it was a surprise to us. It's just because we were so expensive. That's all.
Yeah, but so you didn't actually get to travel to like promote it or anything?
No,
like
I did.
That?
We went to. We had a whole UK trip. It was a beautiful thing. And in fact, my wife, back when fur was still not a horrible thing, we bought it. The same people who bought clothes for Automan did the wardrobe for Dynasty. So we got a deal on a fur coat at Harrods, the big department store there, and we went all over. Went to Nottingham. I got some Nottingham lace. We went to the oldest tavern in the world, which is in the UK, which is like literally the main part of it is a cave, and then there's like so it's that old, and that's pretty cool. And so it was great. I went and it was a beautiful thing to be able to do that. And at that point, Automan was kind of still a hit. So I did good chat shows, and it was fun. So Desi and I came, and it was a great trip.
That's excellent. Because I know like the sort of like convention scene that exists now, you know, I mean, you could probably walk into any convention and be like, I need a table and I need somebody to get me a drink. You know,
that'd be nice. I've done a few of them. I'd like to, it's been a while because you know, Automan's pretty, you know, kids today have no idea who Automan was, and that's fine. But because especially when you look at the computers, he's got this bank. You know, right now, my phone has got more power than every computer in that whole police lab. But
your phone has more processing power than Apollo 11. You know.
I know, right? But yeah, it was fun. The kids, I found car shows and the conventions here in the States are great, but there's a certain elegance and I think that they embrace the cosplay in an amazing way over there. And so while I was over there, I got to hang with Tom Wopat. He was there back at the General Lee, back before that new thing. Now they're fighting to see if they can even use the General Lee.
Yeah.
You know, so it was nice. I made some connection, and Tom and I have a Stephen Sondheim connection too, which is nice. So we met years ago during this. Because my very first Screen Actors Guild job was as a bad guy on the Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard, yeah.
They fought me and knocked me off a circus train, which is kind of an interesting parallel because years later I would go on to be ringmaster of the circus for 4 years. So
hey, I saw Tom Wopat and Annie Get Your Gun.
He was great, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He was with Bernadette Peters, who I was in love with. I was in love with her at the time. So
no, I was lucky. She brought me in to audition for that too, because I'm so tall and she's so short. That's why they didn't. I didn't get a chance to do it, but she did because I'd done Into the Woods with her. She brought me in for those auditions. So.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. I don't know if Broadway Chat's talk's gonna light up the chat, but it's fascinating for me.
You never know. Cool. That's nice.
Thank you to who's that, Greg? I missed that one. Thank you to Renee.
Yeah, Renee.
Very much on that.
I thanked him in the chat.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure we didn't miss that.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me about how did you get into Automan? Like, was that something did you have an agent who hooked you up with that job, or was that something?
Well, I did have an agent who got me the audition, but when I got the audition, Leon Raper was my agent at the time, and he was Nurse Jackie on General Hospital's agent, and I had gotten a small role on General Hospital, and he represented me for after that. So we got this fantastic script, and I thought, oh my God, this is amazing! Like reading a dream from my childhood. This is amazing. So I walked in for the audition, and it was like walking into Valhalla. Right? There was this room full of godlike men. Sam Jones was there, who went on to be,
Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
One of his favorites.
I thought you were kidding about gods being there.
No. It was like filled with all these big muscle-bound guys, and I thought, oh my God, there's no chance that I can do it. But I just tried to approach it as honest as I could. And because I kind of had at the time this kind of vaguely Mormon look, and because Glenn is that's kind of his vision of the superhero, I fit his mold. There was one of the great writers named Larry Brody. I don't know if you know him, but he is fantastic. He had the largest collection of comic books I ever saw, and so he was very much into it. And when we were doing the auditions, they said, "Do you have any footage on yourself?" I said, "Well, I'd only done the Dukes of Hazzard." So I showed him that reel and said, "Do me a favor, don't show anybody this reel." So I said, okay, fine. And so I was just lucky. And by the time we got cast at Network, it was down to, I think it was just me, as far as I knew. I didn't see any other Automan, but it was, Desi was auditioning. And then also, now his name is escaping me, but the guy who played the young Superboy in the Chris Reeves Superman, Jeff East, right?
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so he was almost Walter too. So I got to do readings with both of them. And because I had just seen Superman. And one of the things you mentioned to me, you were asking me if I'd seen Tron before Automan. Not only, yeah, of course I saw it. I'm sci-fi was almost from the beginning. I grew up on Star Trek, and that was my whole vision of the world. So between Walt Disney's power of Imagineering and Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future, I said we got nowhere to go but up. Right, the world is going to be fantastic, and you can see clearly that they were right.
I mean, it's peaks and valleys,
I still think we're going to get there. I still think.
Yeah. You go down and then you go up. So we're on a down right now. We're going to go up soon.
Yeah, right.
But so being a fan of science fiction, having seen Star Trek and obviously the Star Trek original series, the green screen technology and stuff, that wasn't necessarily there yet. But was that was that in any way like an impediment to your experience there? Like you put the suit on. You didn't have a problem visualizing what?
No. The suit was made out of the same. It was the same kind of material. Remember in the Superman film, all that super high reflective, glowing stuff that
like Marlon Brando was wearing.
Marlon was wearing. Yeah, exactly. So that's a material by 3M. It's the same stuff they make front screen projections out of. So say for example, you've got my costume in a dark warehouse, and you're on the other side of the room. You light a match. And every panel will ping because it's so reflective, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought originally when we did it, I thought that my costume on screen would have been white, But then they decided that so the way they used it with the beam splitter, it was so hot compared to the rest of the screen, that created a walking traveling mat. And so then they used the mat to create a negative, and then they'd use the negative and then superimpose the star field. Because right now, if they were just green panels, you could just instantly pop in that special effect. Would have been easy, but they were kind of experimenting as they went along. But I loved it, and we worked with David Garber, who was the special effects wizard behind Battlestar Galactica, right? And I was a huge fan of that too. So I got to see some of the Galactical miniatures and things like that. And my favorite thing that he did, besides teaching me how to walk through walls and showing me how the special effects were done and the rigging with the beam splitter and all that stuff, I learned a lot about the special effects at the time. But my favorite thing was the autoplane. When the car would turn into an airplane, that was the most beautiful thing. And I don't know where that model went. So if anybody has that model,
I was going to say that's one of the few model
I would love
effects.
to have it.
It's one of the few model effects in the show. The helicopter's a real helicopter, the car's a real car, but and the tank was a real tank. The jet was a model piece.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful thing. It was a beautiful model, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't even know what happened to the Lamborghini. I know that Glenn owned it, and sadly Glenn has passed away not too long ago. But he was a great guy. I loved him.
Yeah, there's not many. There's not. In terms of production run, there's not that many Lamborghini Countaches out there, so I gotta assume that somebody's got that piece in their one of a kind collection of.
I hope so. It was a great car. It was a great car.
So you did mention that. So you had seen the script. Was it just the pilot episode script before you?
Yeah. Exactly.
You didn't really know where the character was necessarily going to go, but it was just.
If you've seen the show, you know that they didn't know where we were going.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea was, and Glenn, he said in the documentary about the show that he thinks that they threw too many of my powers away too fast, right? So that all of a sudden there was nothing I really couldn't do.
Yeah, it was just sort of a power of the week.
And then the other thing too, that I'm supposed to have a vulnerability. My vulnerability, they said, people would be waking up and turning on their stuff, and then the power would be draining with me. Well, wouldn't you think that the power drain would be greater at night when all the lights are on? So there were some things. And you asked me once if there's anything that I contribute to the thing. Well, one time they were going to have me go to a wall socket and try to pull some electricity from the wall, which I actually do, but you'll see that I'm several feet away from the socket and pulling the electricity out this way. Because they said we cannot have me touching the socket because kids will be doing it. So that was my
just like Automan.
I know, right? So we managed to keep that safe. So I tried to make him a non-violent superhero. And I never killed anybody except in the pilot episode. We rented up a plane for Patrick McNee, and then he's like 30,000 feet, and we took the plane away. So
I think you killed a few people on the dance floor.
Well, actually, that was the dance double. That was not me.
Well, it's I think I don't know if it was the documentary that's the behind the scenes documentary that's on the DVD release, or if it's another video that was on YouTube that I happen to be watching. But they talk about how awkward the cuts are from you and the dance double just clearly not matching.
Exactly. No, exactly. Look, it's like when you see the dance double, it's like after the prison camp.
Yeah. It's
but he was a great guy. He was the dance double. He was the dance double for John Travolta, and he was also and in Staying Alive, he was the blonde guy who was his rival, right? So it was exciting to work with. These were real people. I was really in the business.
Yeah. Well, so and I mean, you obviously trained for musical theater, and you obviously had the voice. You could sing. You had the musical sort of component. Had you ever considered doing the dance part, or was that just we need a pro for this? You can sing with Laura Branigan, but he's gonna.
No, it's the kind of thing. It's like the stuntman. If they have a chance to give a job, and the lady who was doing the choreography, she knew this guy, so. Listen, I'm a believer in share the wealth, and if there's ever a chance to do a stunt, I did plenty. In fact, I did a couple of the first thing I did on the circus train was to jump from the top of the train off to a lower platform. I said, I got this. I can do this. And I think between that and several of the other things that I shouldn't have done over my life, now I'm a robot. I'm a cyborg. I have artificial hips. Yeah. But that's because you can only do things. There's some things you really shouldn't do. So let the stuntman do it.
Well, and obviously you've told stories about the hazards that you incurred just from trying to get in and out of the Lamborghini. So.
Oh yeah, well exactly. I don't think the 4-inch heels made it a little harder, but that's why you'll see it's very rare you'll see shot an Automan getting in and out of the car.
Yeah, and so you wore those heels the entire time, though, like not.
Well,
just...
when I was Automan, when I was
Well, that's what I mean, yeah.
when I was in the civilian clothes, sometimes I would have just regular shoes, regular boots. But
'cause
even
they
they wanted me that much taller than everybody else, so it was
Exactly.
just absurd.
Yeah, yeah. And so you're working alongside with Desi Arnaz Jr. For people who don't know, if you don't remember it from the video, Desi Arnaz Jr. is the son of Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball, yeah.
Hollywood royalty.
It was great, and she came to the set one day. I got to meet Lucy on the set. She came for his birthday, and at that point, it was a few years before she passed, but she'd smoked really, really heavily. So I was very excited to see her. And she came in and she goes, "Where's Desi?" And I was like, "Oh, So anyway, she was very charming, and it was great. And I got to meet Desi Senior too, but by that point they were not really living together. Both were very, very charming. But my favorite of the Desi relations, because Desi and I still are friends, and he lives in Boulder, Nevada now, and really not too far from the dam. He's a delightful guy, but his sister, Lucy Arnaz, oh my God, she's a powerhouse. And so
is she in Hollywood? Is she performing?
No, she's in New York now. She does she's done a lot of musicals. She's a real bona fide stage phenomenon. So I'm very excited to have met that whole family.
Yeah, I guess the genes, still run strong, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me. That's fantastic. I have to assume that being, with your history, with your background of being in theater, being on the show, it was a thrill to meet her, a thrill to work with Desi Arnaz Jr. And it's really great to hear that, you've managed to maintain a friendship with him over the years.
And Heather too, Desi and Heather, we still keep in touch, and it's been very, very nice. And some of the people, sadly, have passed. Like one of the things that's you guys are sci-fi people, right?
Oh,
so
yes.
To me, it was such an honor to work with Robert Lansing, because one of his first films that I remember, because growing up watching black and white, reruns of old films, he did this film called The 4D Man, right? And so one of the things that I remember most, he's like, when he first realized he has this power, there's like an apple inside a window, and he can reach through this glass window. He grabs the apple, but then he can't bring the apple through the window because it won't come back through. It was the weirdest thing. And so then, like, he robbed banks. He would rob a bank, and eventually he worked out how to do it. But one of the ways they caught him is because there was like a dollar bill and stuck in the steel door, right? So it was, but because he was a 4D man, and because Automan in its own way was a 4D man, I thought that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, getting to sort of live out that superhero fantasy of this sort of advanced science fiction that you can barely wrap your head around to begin with. It's really making you think about the concepts and
this is totally unrelated. But when we shot the pilot in Big Bear up in Lake Arrowhead in California, while we were shooting there, staying at the lodge was Danny Kaye. Before he passed away, and he was a legend for me too growing up. So the fact that I got to meet him made me feel like, wow, this Hollywood thing might really happen. And I keep waiting. And any second now, it might really kick in.
I'm going to bring it back to the theme of our show here and grab. You showed me before we started the actual live stream here. You're actually holding your Automan action figure, which again, for everybody in chat, if you're not familiar, it's a pretty rare toy. Mainly because, like you said, it's from Akamas Toys, which is a UK toy manufacturer. So they didn't really get released that much in the US. I don't even know if they got released at all.
I'm not even sure if they were released in the US. But here's
I don't think so.
For the ardent collectors, get ready.
Yeah, he's also got a carded one.
In the card. Oh, my God.
It's not fair. If anybody's going to have a carded, it's him, right? But hey, that's pretty common for people to have the carded pieces, but then they sell it. That's not you. You decided to hang on to it. Why have you kept those pieces this long?
Oh, saving it for the museum.
Yeah.
for the television wall of my mausoleum.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned before we started shooting, you're a pretty big toy collector. I
am. I do. I used to have the whole fleet of starships, but we had to sell that when we moved from New Jersey. But I've got the Batmobile, and I've got.
Who made you sell that?
It might have been my wife. But when you have young children, you use them as an excuse to buy toys. Like we talked earlier, we had the whole gamut of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys. First, when they were the hard plastic ones, and then when the movies came out, then they came out with those soft rubbery ones where you pop the legs off, right?
Yeah.
So we had the whole, we had the van, we had the sewer, we had the whole 10 yards, and it was great.
So do you still have like a personal toy collection?
Some I do. I have like some. I like a vintage, a couple of Captain Kirks and some Superman stuff. Not too many, but I still love. Oh, and then this is I have. This is interesting too. My wife brought this out. These are from a friend of mine.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
This is actual real estate from the Death Star. In the original Star Wars film. This is from
actual
from
props.
Yeah, exactly. I did a film back in the day. One of the earlier special effects things was a guy named Eric Brether.
Yeah.
Who is huge. He won the Academy Award for Total Recall, right?
Oh wow. Okay.
But he worked for Industrial Light and Magic. And one of the things that he sent was this is it says on the back here, and sadly it is in fact broken in half a little bit. But on the back, this is actual real estate.
Oh man, that's great.
From the Death Star. This is from the attack, the run on the
the trench
final
run,
attack.
Yep.
Yep. So I actually have a piece of that.
That is
cool.
fantastic.
And I do have from when the release of the movie, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy came out. I have one of the really promotional towels, so I know where my towel is.
That's great. And obviously, I mean, you keep an eye on toy stuff. Obviously, big fan of the channel you mentioned.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we're gonna help. We're gonna help keep you informed about what's going on with toys and action figures.
Yeah, cool. I love it. The Robbie the Robot. I have one of those. Is cool. And I'm on the old Lost in Space robot. I've had several iterations of that.
Oh, sure.
That was my favorite.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
So now, do you obviously you said you use kids as an excuse to sort of buy toys, collect toys, whatever. Was that something they embraced? Did they become collectors at all, or they?
Well, no, they certainly were the opinion that toys were being played with. So you play with them, and then they're destroyed, and then that's it. They've lived their life, and they had a good love. They were loved for a moment, and then they're trash.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no. And I rely on people like that getting rid of their toys so I can acquire them at very low prices.
Very good. Nice.
That's where I come in. No, I'm the same way. I open my stuff. Everything's displayed, or I'm constantly posting pictures and stuff on my Instagram.
Well,
that's where a lot of our fans.
This one's for playing. The other one's for keeping.
I think it's great that you still have that. It's
and
fantastic.
This guy has been all around the world with me. So he's cruised all around the world. He's been to China. He's been all over Europe. I have not been to Africa yet, but we'll go.
Okay. That's excellent. So did you take him on the cruise ships with you?
Oh yeah, I take him everywhere.
That's great.
It's kind of he fits in the suitcase. He fits in my shave kit. Really.
Yeah, that's great. Well, he must smell great.
on a good day.
If he's been living in the shaving kit, he must smell good. I don't know.
He does exactly. A little bit of that lavender and talc.
Excellent. That is fantastic. It's neat because everybody has that sort of like, I get the question a lot, like, oh, would you want to have an action figure of yourself? Like, who would you want to make it? What would it do? What accessories would it come with? I get that question a lot. And so I have to have an answer ready to go. So it's got to be it's got to be fun to have something like that happen organically to a project that you were on, something that you worked with that you were already excited about, to see something like that. Now, did you buy it yourself? Did you buy it in a shop, or was that delivered to you?
No, these were given to me. These were given to me.
I would hope so.
Because I'm Automan.
Exactly. I mean, whatever perks you're going to have, I would hope that would be one.
No, exactly. We came. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the things we were doing when we came for that UK tour was to promote the toys. And then when we got over and they found out that we were canceled, they were less than pleased.
Somebody in chat wants to know if you were ever at Germany's FedCon. You ever heard of FedCon?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never been, and but I'm willing to go. Tell them to just send me an invitation. I'll be there once the plague has passed.
Yeah, okay, as soon as the pandemic's over, we'll get right back to that.
Exactly right.
It's got I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's got to be tough for someone who's you're beyond Automan. Obviously, you've done a lot of stage performance, even Ringmaster at Barnum and Bailey. That's all in person, in front of people, feeling that emotion from the audience. You're giving it to them, they're giving it back to you. It's got to be tough to have to chat with me right now.
No. We live in a different. It's a phase, right? When we look back on this. When we're not crying about it, we'll realize this was just another adventure. I've been very blessed to have played to so many great things between the theater and the cruise ships, and I teach, and sometimes I do elder care as well because I think everybody deserves that little bit of extra dignity. And everything that I do shut down, everything closed down, and there was no way to make anything happen. And so one of the things that I'm doing right now is I work for Amazon doing customer service here in my house. In fact, you're sitting in my office. The only thing I did different for the interview today was change the artwork behind me.
I was going to say turn 90 degrees to whatever.
Exactly. Oh, there's the Automan poster. So that's
exactly.
That's vintage too, and that's rare too. And that could probably be had for the right price.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Check out Chuck's eBay account.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm keeping this one too. I've had it for a long, long time. But yeah, I feel very blessed to have that in this world, and we're going to get past this chatting world. But what a blessing that we live in a world where this can happen.
Amen to that. Absolutely. The technology was at the right place at the right time to at least allow people to connect like this. In some ways more intimately. Yeah,
phones are great. Computers are great. And I know there's the Apple Watch, which is kind of like it, but I still want that wrist radio like Dick Tracy had, right? I think that would be the easiest way to do it. I'm surprised we don't do it that way.
Well, and that's always been a problem, right? Like the whole deal with the Dick Tracy, the two-way transistor watch there is that you can see the person fine, but they don't actually have to be looking at it. So you need like a drone or something. We need like something that's going to sit up here. We need a cursor who's going to sit up here on camera and just follow your gaze, right?
We're practically to that point.
It's really close.
Yeah, all right.
So I saw something today that I missed in my research leading up to the Automan video that I wasn't aware of, and I got to listen to a track. Apparently there was a Star Wars musical that got 2 tracks into a demo, and you played Han Solo.
I did. Now the original demo, it was actually Charles Strauss that sang the song, but then they brought me in. It was Bernadette Peters' sister who was doing the casting, brought me in for the demo, and Jason Robert Brown, who's a famous Broadway composer of his own right now, was the musical director. I sang the song at the cantina called Hans Your Man, which is as good as it sounds. But it was tremendous fun to do. There was some great music in it. One, Leia's song was called My Star, which was supposed to be like a lullaby that she vaguely remembered as a child from I guess, the Queen of Alderaan would sing it to her. But Luke's song was called To Fly. And then there was this huge Act 1 closer that all the themes came together on. And it was really powerful, like Les Mis. Obi-Wan's song, not so great. It was called The Power of the Force. Right?
Everybody's a critic, Chuck.
No, I'm just saying. I thought it was okay. But to me, the thing that made the thing hard to really reach an audience was, at that point, it was like early 90s. And the Darth Vader music was this kind of atonal kind of jazz opera fusion strangeness. So it was just really hard to really get behind it. So that's why I don't think it really took off. But the idea was really good, and everybody loves Star Wars. And they finally did do a huge stage spectacular in Japan, where they literally had a full-scale Millennium Falcon that lifted off and flew a little bit around it was pretty amazing. So the idea of Star Wars on the stage has been explored, but it's one of those things, how many people get to say they got to sing that song, right?
Well, I mean, hey, look, I was listening to the track and I had no problem picturing you, dancing around the cantina, with the cantina band in the background and all that stuff. No problem imagining that. I mean, it had to have been a thrill to be, cast in that.
It was.
I don't know if cast is the right word, but
Charles Strauss, who wrote the music, he wrote Annie, he wrote Titanic. He's the real deal. It was a real honor to be involved, and so. And like I said, it can happen. It can still happen.
Oh, sure. That was a tough time for Star Wars. I think the world was sort of Star Warsed out at that point. It was the second renaissance of Star Wars hadn't really hit until the mid '90s. So I think everybody sort of thought like, really Star Wars, which I don't know. We might be there again right now. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Mandalorian starts up in October. So.
Right. Exactly. But speaking of Han Solo, I've been watching Brave New World on Peacock, and it stars Aaron Heinrich is his name.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Whatever, exactly. That guy who played Han Solo.
Yeah.
He's in it, and he's really delightful in it. So I highly recommend Brave New World. So
excellent. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I don't think, Greg, you've watched it yet. But I haven't seen much else that Alden Ehrenreich has been in. I know he was in
right?
Hail Caesar, right? Was that the...
Oh, was it? Oh, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, the Coen Brothers film. Yeah, he's really funny in that.
He's really good. He must be easily 3.5, 4 feet tall. But, at least that.
Wow.
We did have somebody in chat here ask about America 3000. Full disclosure, I haven't seen it.
And that's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. In that case, it was fabulous. No,
Should I watch it?
Well, Eric, here's an interesting thing about America 3000. The writer David Engelbach, who had written this Sly Stallone arm wrestling movie Over the Top. Right?
I have seen Over the Top. Second
right. Well, part of his deal with Cannon to do that film was that he'd get to direct this film, America 3000, and the script was really quite good. It was this post-apocalyptic world, blah 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 blah. So the script was really epic. And then when we got over there and realized there was no budget, it became really kind of silly and odd. But I shot for several months in Israel. That was exciting. The cast was great. We did a couple of really interesting action set pieces that were good. But the idea was that they tried to kill me because I was a cedar. There were cedars and workers. Oh, it's terrible. Exactly. I don't want to give anything away. But so when they try to kill me, well, first I learned that I'm not a plugat. I'm actually a man. I've learned to teach myself to read by a little ABC book.
Hashtag not a plugat.
that I wear around my neck, because that's what taught me to read. It's like this: how I learned phonetics and how to read from this ABC book. I really don't understand. But as they try to shoot me with an arrow, I fall off a cliff. I'm protected by the ABC book, and I land up in the ruins of the president's bomb shelter at NORAD, and find out that we launched nukes against each other, and that's what ended the world, right? And so eventually, the legend is one day the president will come and lead us to a new tomorrow. So I take a gold lame radiation suit, and I convince the women, the Thunder Women, which was the original working title of the movie, to that I'm the president, and the leader has to come and meet me. I take her to the bunker. We kind of do it, and supposedly it is as bad as it sounds.
Look, it's only 2020. It can still happen. It's still all of that is still in play.
Still could still happen. But yeah, it's a delightfully silly movie. And as bad as just when you think it couldn't get any worse, it's pretty worse. And the poor horses were abused. The horse I rode, we literally sadly rode to death, and it was not my fault. But it was just so hot, and I'm so big, and the horse was not very big, and it's just sad.
Really bringing the room down.
Good news. If you go to Amazon, you can get a 4 sci-fi movie marathon disc. It's America 3000, Arena, The Time Guardian, and Eliminators, which I love. I have on DVD. Or I have on Blu-ray.
Exactly.
For $8.19. So I recommend.
And that's only $7 more than it's worth.
Everybody get over there and order your copy of the 4 sci-fi movie marathon from Amazon.
Fantastic. Good.
Yeah, you can do that. Bill and Ted, and it's still not as much as Mulan, right?
That's right. Exactly right.
I also watched your clip. You've got a clip or two of Monster Island. Is that the stop motion one?
Yeah, that's the one that was a student film for Eric Breve, who gave me the Star Wars. That was his first experiment with stop motion. I mean, not his first experiment, but that was
stop motion monsters.
Yeah, that was part of his thesis, right? That was part of his undergrad work, and that's when I first met him. He is state of the art as far as special effects go now, so he's come a long way.
So was that not a union job? Was that just something you were helping out?
No, it was something we did. Yeah, exactly. Because I was a student at USC. He was a student at UCLA, and it was just one of those things that came together in a kind of a fun way.
I gotcha. Yeah. No, I like America 3000. I meant to say, it's tough when you show up to shoot and there's no budget, but you don't get to the point where you're shooting with stuff with budgets if you haven't been on projects.
Well, no, I did after America 3000. I did another film in the Philippines called The Sisterhood that made America 3000 look like Gone with the Wind. So it all depends, right? The thing that's cool about The Sisterhood is that I had a broadsword.
I was going to say some very Conan pictures of you online,
and I rode this very cool motorcycle that was supposed to be horses in the original script, but it starred myself and Rebecca Holden, who was just coming off of Knight Rider, and Lynn Holly Johnson, who had just starred in the movie Ice Castles, and so we all thought it was going to be a real movie, and then we got to Manila, it was like surprise. And so they kind of just made it up as they were going along. In fact, because it was a Roger Corman produced film, there was one scene where like the witches, the sisterhood, are they're chained on the back wall, and they're I didn't do it. I wasn't part of the shoot, but you just have to have some gratuitous nudity. So it's like, well, they just stuck that in for no reason.
Look, it's about knowing your audience, right?
Exactly.
You want to tell your story, sure, but you also want to sell tickets.
Exactly.
Watch. This isn't rocket science. It's making movies, right?
Right. Exactly.
Let's talk about craft for a second here. In terms of your Broadway approach versus your TV film approach, like it's the same mindset, because it's a different type of thing, right? Like Broadway, you're doing the same performance over and over again, whereas TV, you get your script, you shoot that thing, and then you're done, right? You move on to the next script. But are you in the same sort of mindset there?
Well, you have to try to be much less overt for film and television. You have to be. It's much smaller. It's more internal, right? But the basic truth is the same, right? And the thing that's great about doing a show 8 times a week is that you can do it the same, but you have to approach it like you've never done it before. So there's the part of you that knows what you're about to do, but you have to let that go so that you're free in the moment, because some things can go wrong and you need to be fresh to react. Because what do they say? Acting is not acting. Acting is reacting.
Reacting.
Right?
Yep.
So the key is to know it tight enough that you can then. And that same with the film. It's hard when you get this pages the day before. The film and television is a little bit easier because you can, like you'll do 3 pages at a time and stop, right? So you really need to come into the scene as knowing it is enough so that you can let it go, right? If you're struggling to remember the lines, people will see that, right? They'll see that you're overly thinking about it. But if you know the dialogue well enough to be free with it and then let it happen organically in the moment, it's just much smaller. It's much more intimate for film than it is for the stage. The stage is big, and then the circus is even bigger than that. I did an article for the Harvard Business Review called "Playing to the Back Wall," because that's kind of how I was taught. That you have to, you want to play to the people in the front, but you have to know that your intention, even if you're whispering, has to reach to the people all the way in the back of the theater. And if you're in a stadium with 10,000 people, that back wall is pretty far away. So you really have to play that big. So it's just different levels of the same idea, but the truth is still the same. You have to find what's true in the moment and try to be honest and appreciative. And to me, one of the great things about whether it's playing Automan or whether it's being a musical or even this right now, I just feel so grateful to be even asked to participate. So that I try to approach everything with gratitude. And so, thank you.
Oh, that's excellent. For me, I'm just trying to get a free acting lesson out of this. So it's all quality stuff for me.
It works for me. It works for me too.
I don't have any formal training, so I'm just making everything up as I go. We run a scripted show, like this is obviously this isn't scripted, but our show is scripted, and so I'm
Oh, your shows are it's amazing. Production values, and Greg, kudos to your producer Greg. It's so really tight.
Oh,
so I'm very impressed with every episode.
But when you know how it is, like when you're wearing a cardboard Optimus Prime costume, you got to be in character. You got to believe. You got to know what you're doing. You got to
exactly.
And I don't have an audience in front of me, so I got to make sure that I'm engaging everybody.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, can you clear something up for me that was I saw on Wikipedia? It said you were said you were a contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in 2012.
Yep.
Is that true?
It's absolutely true. My wife told me, we were trying to figure out what we're going to do. And she says, because I was in New York auditioning for Anything Goes, the national tour. And while I was there, she said, what would really help us if you could just get on Millionaire, win us $1 million, and that would solve all of our problems.
Look, if you just do that, that'd be great.
I'll just see what I can do. So while I was there.
Also grab some milk.
Exactly. While I was there, they were having one of those open call things. So I went in. And you go in, they give you a questionnaire. You have to go through this thing. You go through the first round. And then you take this test and you have to answer the questions. Like, how could you answer the question? So you do that second round. And then the third round, they actually put you on video, right? They want to see if you're going to be interesting enough. So I did that. And then, so I felt like I went well. I finished it up. And then I had to fly to Cleveland because the tour, which had been rehearsing in New York, just launched in Cleveland. By the time I got to Cleveland, I got a call from the people saying, "Yeah, we want you to be on. Can you come?" It was like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" Okay, hang on. So I had to get permission to leave previews before we hadn't opened yet. I had to leave previews in Cleveland. I flew back to New York, and then I spent like $2,000 to get Susan to come with me because I wanted her to be there for this too, right? And so we got on there, and I was there for the whole day waiting to go on. I'm waiting, ready to go. And then by the end of that first taping session, I was going to be next. and they didn't quite get to me. So we had to go home. We went to sleep. Then I got up the next morning. I had way too much coffee. And so I was the first one up the very next day. And so I tried to approach it like Slumdog Millionaire. I figured, well, yeah. My life is going to lead to these questions, right? Just like in the movie, right? Well, clearly I got someone else's life.
Oh, Jesus.
And so I the first couple of questions I did all right with. I missed one. I did not know. My wife would have known that apparently the red soled shoes are the Louboutin shoes. I didn't know, and they're from Italy. I didn't know, so I passed on that question. And then the next question was, what is a real sport? And there were several things listed. Blah 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 blah. And one was Zoom basketball. One was Thai bowling. One was I can't remember what. No, maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe it was Thai boxing was the one that was a real sport. But one of them was Zoom basketball, and I thought, well, because they said it was a new sport, and to me, it was Pilates, some kind of Pilates thing that had Pilates boxing or something, and I thought, well, that's Pilates is 70 years old. It can't be that. Zumba's current. It must be Zoom basketball. So I just said it right instead of passing like I should have. I still had my lifelines. I had everything, so it was like, nope, good night, thanks for coming. And that was it. So yeah, I was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for about 15 minutes.
Oh,
but I was on.
Your analogy about Slumdog Millionaire reminds me of this time that I was playing Little League Soccer, and I had seen a Frosted Flakes commercial where Tony the Tiger encourages the kid, and then the kid, as the goalie, does the dive to like save the game. And so there I am, 8 years old. I'm gonna save the game, and I waited on one side of the goal, like I'm gonna bait them into this. I'm gonna bait them into kicking the ball past me. And then when that ball came, I dove. And we lost because I went right into the third. And my parents were like, hey,
what
bud,
was that?
What happened?
All right.
Blame
like, Tony.
Blame
Tony.
It's fine. It's fine. It's great. Everything's great. I'm good.
That's great. That is a great story.
Well, that's good. We can log into the Wikipedia and update that citation. We have it officially now. He was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
So, hey, we've joked about, reboots
I still want
and
to
stuff.
be one. I just didn't get to be one.
Yeah. Well, we're all on that train right now, I guess.
Yeah.
If they called you, if they rebooted Automan, you'd say.
Well, I think I would listen. If they could do it as like an animated thing and I could be the voice, absolutely. I am a little long in the tooth now to be Automan, but I do think I sound the same. So, yeah, I would love to be the voice of some kind of an animated version, or they could Jeff Bridges me, like they did in Tron. Because right now, even now, that was like the early version of that, which I thought was about 95% successful. Right?
It was close. It wasn't quite there.
Maybe 85, but still, it was pretty.
I still like the movie.
It was still ambitious, right? But it's getting better and better, right? So if they could do something like that, that would be great. But I think if they did reboot it, it would probably not be with me. Maybe I could be. Like,
well, you did put the suit on for that hologram short.
Well, hologram, exactly. It was not. It was a variation of the same. Now, that hologram, that was a great thing because Aaron Rabinowitz, who's with Red Giant Special Effects, who's a genius, and he was an Automan fan. He called me up. He asked me, if I would consider doing it. So yeah, so he flew me to New York. We only did a couple of scenes, and it was. If I'd have known, I wish I'd have lost like 50 pounds first. But so it was like, I was, but still, it was a tremendous honor. And David Hewlett, who plays Hologram, was so funny and such a talented guy. And basically, that was an example for them to show how they could make stuff look like it was produced in the 80s, right? It is an amazing technique, and the Red Giant has got a whole library of these great special effects things. But my kudos to Aaron for letting me play. And it was just a real honor for me. And he billed me as the first
original
hologram, the original hologram.
Yeah.
So it was nice. It was a touching thing.
Well, and like you said earlier, it's amazing how far that technology has come from, $1 million an episode to make all of that suit and the car and the effects and everything come to life.
If you saw the hologram clip, I'd watch that series. I'd watch it.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely.
It was very funny.
I went into it going like, oh, okay, here's another parody of an 80s thing. Oh, look, it looks like VHS. And then by the end of it, I was like, oh, it's over. I was enjoying it. Like
exactly. Well, that was just really a demonstration of their software, right? That's kind of what that was for. And it's cool. But so Red Giant. So if anybody's interested in producing special effects, go to them.
Yeah, no, it's it's on YouTube. I watched it this afternoon. I think it's like 5 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that. You
cool.
pop up at the end there.
Exactly. Mercifully, I don't do very much, but it's very nice.
You do get to interact with Cursor again, though, so that was very nice.
Very cool.
Good stuff there. So as far as what you're looking at for the future here, do you plan, once pandemic is gone, do you think you're back on the tour scene? You think you're back doing?
Well, I'll definitely do. I do a show called Living the Dream, where I tell my story in song, where it starts when I was 10, all the way through, starting with the Three Musketeers, on through my first. I start with Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow from Disneyland, because that kind of shaped my philosophy. Because I'm still, like Walt Disney, an optimist, and it's easy not to be in today's world. But I believe that if you bring the love from in here and shoot it out this way, you'll leave the world better than you found it. And that's kind of my goal, is to do the best I can in my little way to leave the world better than I found it. And so I keep telling my story. I try to inspire young people to follow their dream into theater, because to me, musical theater is better for me, because film and TV is good, but I think I look better from a distance. So that's why theater is good, because you can fill in, if you
cake that makeup on.
Exactly, right. So I do love that. And for 5 years I was the Beast. So once you put all that hair and the horns on, then it's really just acting from the heart, because the exterior is taken care of for you. Right? So I love it. I love telling stories. I love reaching the audience, and I really look forward to the day when we can all gather together in big crowds, where you're not afraid to get spit on, because when you come to a musical, you're going to get spit on. We expectorate a lot. So once that's safe again, then I look forward to getting back to touring and doing the shows. And I like to say, someone asked me what my favorite role was. I like to say it hasn't happened yet. And even though I'm not a kid anymore, as old as I am, I actually feel like there's a lot left in me. So I think there's more shows to come.
Oh, definitely. So somebody in chat here asked, I'm going to completely sidetrack this conversation now, because
that's okay.
because I get it a lot here. Renee wants to know if your views on shaving have changed. I said, as quite a hirsute man himself, he always related to plight of constant razor bumps and irritated skin. And the only reason I'm queuing this up is because if people go through our video library, from week to week, I either have beard, I don't have beard. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't.
Right.
If you're looking for those like kingly roles, those distinguished, like the beard really makes that, right?
Right. Well, when I was shooting Automan, one of the things in the documentary, I had to shave. If we went more than 4 or 5 hours into the thing, I'd have to shave again, because it would show up and I was a hologram, so I'm not supposed to have a beard. But now, as you can see from my sideburns, my beard is like white as the snow practically. So it's a whole different thing. So I can get away for a day or two. If I go for a couple of days, I start looking like Popeye's dad. Right? So it's I have a different problem than I used to have, right? So for some reason, like gorillas, you get that whole silverback. I've got my beard, my chest hair is white. There's other white hair that we won't talk about, but
there's kids watching, Chuck.
I know. It just seems to me that, and as you get old, and kids, when you start getting old, you get hair out of your ears. Hair just starts coming everywhere. So yeah, being hirsute is okay, but I'm a firm believer in shaving.
Hey, go after those.
You look younger when you've got a clean face.
Oh, no doubt.
When you're my age,
no doubt. I got this right here gives me away, and I'm rocking. I'm rocking the the quarantine haircut.
Yeah. I had that too, but then I got a haircut about 2 weeks ago. So that was my first one during the quarantine.
I'm usually pretty professional, pretty cleaned up and stuff, but I was like, I'm not going to get a haircut right now.
You're rocking the beard, both of you guys. You're rocking the beard. It's very cool.
That's New Hampshire beards represent. Excellent. Let me see. Greg, do we have any other questions here from chat? Anything else that
not that I've seen. Someone asked about Laura Branigan. Someone asked about.
Oh my God, Laura Branigan was delightful to work with. She was amazing. Gloria was huge hit at the time that we did. In fact, that song's even on the show. But we did a song called Hot Nights, and I'm playing the auto guitar behind her. And and it's again probably, I think I did a fairly passable job of faking the guitar. But but that was a great episode, and it was very romantic. So I got to, she got to play my leading lady kind of in that. I didn't get very many kisses on that show, and that was a good one.
And she was huge at the time.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if
she
people know who Laura Branigan was necessarily, but she was huge.
She was huge. It was a great
That was a big get for the show.
In our background, Ola Ray, who was in some of the Prince videos too, she was one of the background singers. So it was exciting. It was very exciting, but she was an honor to work with. I mean, I only had a couple of kisses. I actually had 3 kisses in the show. I had that. I had Franz Nguyen, who was the Dolman of Elis on the Star Trek series. So she was my first kiss on screen. And actually, I had 4. I kissed Delta Burke.
Hey,
Delta, exciting.
Nice. Yeah, designing women.
Yeah, exactly. She was great, and then also Michelle Phillips from Mamas and the Papas. So
wow,
it was exciting.
So favorite characters over the years. Obviously, Automan's #1. Obviously, right?
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Javert.
I love Javert.
Javert, Beast. You
exactly.
know, how would you rank him?
I have played Jean Valjean too in regional theaters too, which is very exciting to play because it's tremendously. You get to play the whole arc of that character. Because Javert is pretty much one note until he can't deal with it, and then he snaps and kills himself. But Jean Valjean goes through a much more complicated arc, so that's a very exciting role to play. And no, I love them all. Billy in Carousel has the greatest. The soliloquy from Carousel is the greatest piece of baritone music ever to sing. It's 7 minutes long. I do it in my second show called Classic. So I closed my second show with the soliloquy from Carousel, and I warned them. I said, "Get comfortable because this is going to take a while."
Nice. Yeah, I think you have a clip up on your YouTube channel from, is it General Hospital, or you were on 2 different soaps?
Yeah, exactly. I was on General Hospital. I was actually on 3. I was. I don't know if I have I was a veterinarian too. I have to see if I can find that.
Okay, the clip I saw, you were playing an absolute jerk.
Oh yeah, that was One Life to Live. That was.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a sleaze bag. That's
yeah,
no. I didn't write it. But they told me just be smarmy, and I was as smarmy as I could be.
Yeah, no, that was definitely one of the more villainous characters, I would say. That's
the only time I've really been a real jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you drawn to heroes?
My wife could argue with
that. Yeah. Would you say you're drawn to heroes? I mean, obviously that seems like that's been a theme of what you've said this whole show.
Yeah, exactly. I love that, and it's the whole thing. Again, it's that thing that launched when I was 10 years old at Disneyland. That ability that if you can see something in your heart, you can make it happen in the world. It may not come the way you want, but as long as you approach it with honesty and with a pure heart, then something good will come of it, and you can make things happen. You got to take the gifts as they come. If you invest an expectation, you'll always be disappointed. But if you surrender to the power of love around you, it will all come back to you 100-fold.
And so now you are taking all of that, taking theater instruction. You are doing you have teaching sort of virtual.
Yeah, I do master classes
available right now.
I do master classes on. I do a thing called Becoming the Beast. I do both sides of the barricade because I played Valjean and Javert. I do a thing called Game of the Woods, where we couch into the woods like in Clans, like in Game of Thrones, back before they trashed the ending, when that was very popular. Back when it was still a hit.
One of the steepest drop-offs ever.
Oh my god! And in my world, just for Game of Thrones fans out there, in my world, the John and Khaleesi got together and ruled with a peaceful hand, and eventually the ice and fire came together, and that new king is going to rule a peaceful kingdom, right? So, but that's only in my.
I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you how to run your website or your YouTube channel. But if you write that up, you'll get some traffic.
All right, I'll work on that. Exactly. Because I bought the shirt. There's a shirt that's half Stark, half Targaryen, right? I said that's it. That's where we're going. And there was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it was kind of sad at the end.
Hey, as long as you don't watch the last episode, it can live on forever, right? And the books are never going to be finished, so who cares?
Well, he may never finish them because I can't believe he's taking that long. It's like, knock it out. Come on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, so here's my last question. I have to ask for my wife, if nothing else. If you have any more Broadway connections, can you get me tickets to Hamilton? Have you seen Hamilton?
I have seen it. I wish I could get you tickets. Sadly, I cannot. However, you can see it on Disney Plus.
Oh, we have watched it on Hamilton.
So that's brilliant. I love that.
Sure.
You can definitely see that. I think that back when Wicked was on stage, I did know Kristen Chenoweth, so I could have gotten you tickets to Wicked.
Now you tell me.
When I was reigning as the Beast, I could have gotten you into any show on Broadway that you wanted to. But that's been several years now. But when I was king of Broadway, I could have helped you. I could have hooked you up.
I was gonna say that's got to be a pretty big deal, small town kid, right? Tennessee, and then toast of the town in Times Square, right? Broadway,
oh my
big
God,
deal,
it was amazing.
top of the world, right?
It was fantastic.
Nothing was bigger than Beauty and the Beast at the time.
Exactly.
It was
huge.
but
even into the woods back in the day, because I was in the original cast for a year, and then I toured as the Wolf and the Prince for a year. So Into the Woods was a huge hit too. And then Jekyll and Hyde, I was the original a long time ago. And then by the time that they got to Broadway, I was already the Beast. But then after when they started their national tour, I got to rejoin that grand experiment. So that year and a half of on the road with Jekyll and Hyde is an amazing experience too. So I've been very blessed in my life, and and like I said, I'm not dead yet.
Still plenty of opportunities. Chat wants to know if you got to keep the auto guitar.
No, I did not. I did not, but I have kept, although I'm not supposed to have, but now that there's no longer the circus, I kept both of my ringmaster hats.
Oh, okay.
And that was nice. And so I don't get to keep too many things. There were a few suits there was a couple of civilian suits that I kept as Automan. That's long gone.
So as far as ringmaster, I mean, that's a sort of hybrid gig, right? Like, I mean, TV's scripted, movies are scripted, your Broadway performances are scripted, but there's still that sort of like, you never know what's going to happen during a live Broadway show.
Well, exactly. I mean, the basic show is scripted, and there's songs that were written for me to sing, and so the basic connecting material was definitely scripted. But when the actual acts are happening, you never know what's going to happen. We had one time with this guy who was up on a motorcycle with on a high wire, on a tight wire on this motorcycle. He thought it'd be a good idea to add a little air to the tank by loosening the gas cap. And so one time he started to rock back and forth because it was going to spin around on the thing. And I saw all the gas starting to drip down like onto the audience. So I was able to get it. I was able to get into the audience and move these kids. So at least they weren't going to be covered with gasoline. So sometimes you just really have. That's why it's important to pay attention, because you never know what's going to happen. Right? So, and for those circus people who or the PETA people who thinks that circus, the elephants were treated poorly, not true. They were treated like the true stars of the show. We doted on them. Karen is the one I would give a snicker to every day. She'd walk around with somebody for the national anthem every day. So we loved the elephants. If you had to feel sorry for anybody, it's the clowns. The clowns were really worked very hard. They had a great time, but they were really worked harder than you know.
Was there no clown union?
I'm not sure. I don't think the union applies to the circus. I think the circus is its own universe. But it was a real honor to be involved, and I really feel like I communed with the spirit of P.T. Barnum.
That's fantastic. It's again, as a hybrid experience, like you just mentioned, scripted yet at the same time needing to audible, needing to freestyle, needing to fill time. Regardless, there's kids everywhere, animals, motorcycles leaking fuel. It's just an amazing thing to add to a career that was already things that were a bit more standard. As far as that goes.
Right. Yeah.
Excellent.
No, but I've been my whole life has been fantastic, and I live on the beach here in Pensacola. I've been married for 150 years to my wife. No, we met at a place called the Lost Colony on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, America's longest running outdoor drama. And she played the wife of the good Native American. I was the young heroic colonist. We fell in love that summer, and we've been going strong now for 35 years next May. So
she's probably not watching. It's okay.
No, she may be watching in the other room. I don't know. But anyway, I feel very blessed. We have two beautiful children. We have our extended family is great. Sadly, my older brother has passed, both my parents, but my family, my sister I got a whole passel of young, nieces and nephews. And so we're blessed. We're a blessed group of people. I feel very lucky.
It's been an absolute privilege and an honor to speak with you. Just for the amount of energy you're putting out, just for the amount of just light and hopefulness. I hope that people in chat, I hope our viewers who watch this in the future, get that sense of just optimism and just a real powerful sort of light in the world as it currently exists, and hope for the future. Please go check out Chuck's YouTube channel, check out his website, read through all that stuff, take advantage of watching those videos that he has uploaded, put some pressure on him to upload some new stuff.
Yeah, we're working on that now. That my wife is giving me that pressure now. So we'll come up with a new direction. And
Excellent.
if you ever want master classes, I'm available. I do Skype classes for voice lessons, and so I try to do a little bit of everything. And if you have trouble with anything that you bought at Amazon, you might get stuck.
There you go. All right, folks. Thank you very much to chat. Thank you very much for everybody to hanging out with us tonight. Thanks again to Chuck.
Thank you, everybody, for turning out.
It's my pleasure, and thank you. And please, by God, support this channel because I love you, Dan. You're so guys, both of you guys, fantastic. Thank you for including me. Thanks for keeping Automan's memory alive.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.